Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money.
Hello, and welcome to the Fly Nubian Money podcast. It is Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. We help you maximize your mindset and master your money, or the other way around. Y'all know I don't be on here hosting, so give me grace, because we about to be talking about a man that's asking for grace right now. I know that y'all have seen the viral video of Marvin Sapp asking the ushers to close the doors on the church until he collected a $40,000 offering. He was asking basically everybody, all the parishioners, for $20. He charged the higher ups in the church to give $1,000. That's how he was going to get to the 40, and the internet is in an uproar. So today on the Fly Nubian Money podcast, we're going to tackle that action that Marvin took. Today I have Joe Corley, our king, and the man who helps me remember to be kind to the people. And we also have Aisha. Aisha is our wealth professional. So she is going to talk about all of this from a wealth professional's perspective. And if we could just take a look at the video. If you have not seen this video already, let's take a look and see what the internet is talking about today.
Leadership lead, and they understand the cost that is involved. There's 1,000 of you. I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant. There's 1,000 of you tonight, and those that are watching, it's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight. I'm challenging each of you all down here to give a $20 seed. I actually think $20 is a lot of money. $20, believe it or not, when my late wife, Yolanda Sapp, was alive, was a good date. I could take her to the movies, buy a box of popcorn, get one soda, 2 straws. I wasn't cheap, that's swag. I was looking in her eyes, she's looking in mine. Can't do that no more. Now, everyone up here, we've all sold and seeded, but I need everyone standing up here with us, with me, to plant a seed of $100. Because again, it costs to sit up here. I got you. Let's see. So put your 20 away, preachers. That 20 wasn't for you. And this is what I need you to do. If you're giving electronically, or even if you're giving tangibly, I'm gonna have y'all come to the altar and give it, because I need to see 1,000 people moving. Bring them baskets. I want the baskets up here. I want to see the folk. Y'all start moving. Y'all can bring it right now. Come. Even if you're giving tangibly, just put your hand on take your phone and stick it on the bucket. Shh. Giving is worship. Giving is worship. Giving is worship. Giving is worship. This ain't the time to talk. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people online need to give $20. This is easy, saints. This is an easy miracle.
Now, we're going to jump into this. I see Joe is giggling already. Family that is watching at home, we appreciate you. And we want to know what you think about this as well. First, I'm going to get quick reactions from my panel because they sniggling and giggling, and I need to know what they are thinking. So, Joe, you were first. What do you think about this request, right? Giving is worship, Joe.
Never would have paid it. I never would have paid it. I'm out of there, bro. What is he on, man? I need to understand the context of what I just saw, man. I had to be watching out of the context. That's my first reaction.
And Aisha, what about you? What do you first reaction? Giving is worship. Are you giving? Are you worshiping?
My first reaction was also, what was the context, right? But I got it. I understood. But what was the context? Did they needed something? That was my first reaction.
So do you think that this was unorthodox? Do you think that this is within the scope of being in church, specifically, the Black church, because most of us have had a Black church experience? Do you think that this is an unorthodox request that he's making? Or do you think that for his parishioners, this was the norm?
I probably think it's the norm for them because he was comfortable the way he was speaking to them. I think maybe the only thing that I maybe was a little bit off, particularly, was about closing the doors. Close the door. That was a little bit extra, but I think just the request of let's bring the basket, come to the front, let's donate. I don't think it's unusual. I think that's normal.
Joe, and I know that you shared early on in your Fly Nubian Money podcast panelist experience that you were drawn to church by the girls. Would you, in your, the girls going to church, so I'm going with the girls, would you have been all in with Pastor Sapp's request? If the girls were in there pulling out they cards and their wallets, would you have been in there trying to one up them and give 40?
Yeah, no, I ain't doing it because I won't have it. You know what I mean? Like I could front, but no, I'm not doing that.
Do y'all think that this creates a feeling of guilt or inadequacy for people who are, coming to a house of worship, looking to be filled with the Spirit, but these types of requests, right? These big dollar requests where I need to see you bring this money to the altar. Do you think that that's a form, especially for you, Joe, because you're the mental health professional, a form of some type of, I won't say abuse, but maybe manipulation?
It's very traumatizing. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, people did not. I mean, the majority. I don't even know if the majority, but there are definitely people who were in that house of worship who came for salvation, who came for peace, who came for guidance, and they did not come for that. And I know if his church was as packed as he said it was, that sent anxiety through the bodies of some people, feeling like they are not worthy if they can't come up with this amount of money to put into this basket. I guess you could have fronted and just tapped your phone on the plate. You know what I mean? But still, I know that was uncomfortable for some people. I know that, all seriousness aside, that was a very, very traumatizing. I got anxiety just watching that, straight up.
What about you, Aisha? Do you think that this is a form of coercion, right? This is like to create a form of groupthink, or do you think that this is just, this is how the church operates? The church needs donations. It's a nonprofit organization. How do you feel about this? Do you see this as some form of coercion?
I thought about it. I thought about both sides, the being taken off guard of the request, but then I also thought about the fact that the church is us. If the church needs something, the money has to come from us, right? That was why my first thought too, when I saw the video, even though I was like, okay, but I want to know the context. Did they need something? Is that maybe people didn't want to take care of it, so that's why they went that far? But I saw both sides. Some people might feel uncomfortable, but also the church needs it. They needed to do whatever they have to do.
What about people that say mega churches don't need it, right? You have Marvin Sapp. He's a Grammy-winning artist. He probably has a couple of best-selling books on shelves. I don't know what his real estate portfolio looks like, but I know that this is a well-known man, right? Joe sung a rendition of one of my favorite Marvin Sapp songs, Never Would Have Made It. And so I think that there is something about being swept up in celebrity. But what do you think about people who feel like a mega church doesn't need it, right? You got this big old church, big, beautiful building, other entities that are associated with the church. So what do you think about people that say, get it from the church, get it from what we already give every Sunday, every Bible study, every revival, every extra Sunday service, right? What do you say to that, Aisha?
I think especially when you look at the pictures that the pastor has, he shows being flamboyant, very flamboyant, like you said, a celebrity kind of look. So it's easy for people to also assume that the money is there. If you can live such a flamboyant life and this excess happening around you, then you should have the money. Why should you come back to us that are struggling to give you money? Why don't you pull from your money and take care of it without us even knowing about it? So I think also it's just a perception and the way he represents himself as a pastor. I think that makes it hard for people that are working everyday working people to see it as this is too much. You have it, like you say, you have it. Grab it from yours. Don't ask us for any more. So I think I can see where that would be a problem.
So there was a hashtag going around a couple of years ago. I want y'all to think about this. People were talking about hashtag church hurt, right? People were sharing how they became alienated from the church because of things that happen within the church politics and all of that. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will hear from somebody who expresses how this reminds her of her church hurt. But right now, let's take a break.
Woo! It's a good show right here. But I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com.
87948. You got to text that. Text Queens to 87948 so that you don't miss out on any of the valuable information that we have. You don't miss out on any of the great trainings that these great professionals put forward to help you master your money and maximize mindset, vice versa. Flip it over. Don't matter. Get your money right. Get your mind right. 87948 will help you do that. Now, if we could take a look at the video, the young lady was expressing how, of course, people are reacting to this Marvin Sapp close the doors of the church until we get the $40,000 video. And a lady was expressing how this triggered something in her because of her experience with mega churches like this. So let's take a look and then we can discuss church hurt.
Pastor Marvin Sapp, I'm traumatized. I'm traumatized by your approach. But you know what? I'm not surprised. I can remember being so in church like that, giving everything every time the preacher asked for anything. I did it for 20 years. For 20 years, I was a part of a church that I gave. Been to places where they have locked the doors and was just so out of touch with reality to even know that you're being bamboozled, run. Goodness, I'm so thankful for freedom. I am so thankful for being out of bondage, which a lot of times the bondage can be the black church or just church period, evangelicals, but Lord have mercy.
The sister had to call on the Lord. This brought her back. So, Joe, from the perspective of a person who helps people grapple with things like church hurt, what do you see in what this woman is talking about? And have you had people express this type of church betrayal to you before?
I'm glad that y'all showed that video. I'm really glad that we're showing that video because I would say a good portion, maybe 60 or 70% of the black people that I see in my practice experience church hurt. It's very, very common. And a lot of the ways that their anxiety shows up, their guilt and their shame come through what they learned in church or through church or through their parents from church. So this is a very, very common thing, and I can't tell you how many times we've actually unwrapped some of this. So yeah, it's when I see it is something that's very common. You wouldn't
And
believe it.
what about you, Aisha? Have you ever encountered somebody who have fallen? I guess the church have fallen out of favor with them, right? You don't really fall out of favor with the church, but the church and some of the church operations had affected them to the point where, like this sister is saying, she is now free, that she is has released herself from the bondage of the church. Have you ever met someone that had that experience?
Um, I think I haven't met someone particularly that has experienced something to that extent, but I've heard teaching when we talk about giving in the church and how the church affects us, right? And one teaching that I know I've been privy to is understanding that the church is the people, and people hurt. Some people that are hurt other people either by their actions or what they're demanding from them, right? And also there is also this kind of disconnect where scripture is also used to guilt you to do things. So then that hurt comes from there because then now you're confused. I'm supposed to go to a place where I'm supposed to be fed and get something to heal my heart, but rather I get hurt going to that space. So I think the teaching that has helped me in that space is just understanding that it's people. People are they from the church and then they cause this hurt. So it's hard though, and it's unfortunate, but it does happen. But I haven't met anybody that has that strong kind of experience that makes them feel like, wow, I can't go back, or this has really damaged me. But I've heard stories, like for me in the Catholic Church, when I was going through my conversion process, and it was actually in the time where the church was going through a lot about the scandal, the sexual scandal. And I was going through that time. But because I was going through the teaching process and understanding the faith, that wasn't what was taught to me when I was learning. So then I understood that, wow, it is people hurting people. It's not per se what God is teaching us to do. It's, again, like the Lord said, you tie this heavy burden on your people, but you do nothing to help them. Even it says in scripture, Christ was telling those Pharisees that you say you tie these heavy burdens on your people, but you're not trying to help them. And that's probably what's happening today, right? You give them all those burdens, but you're not helping them.
So, Joe, in terms of a church leader, do you think that they have any responsibility in maintaining an environment that is positive and supportive and doesn't give people anxiety when you start talking about opening up wallets and closing doors?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think all leaders have that responsibility if you want the maximum production. But as a church leader, what I mean, like I said, I don't think anyone goes to church to gain anxiety or to gain shame. They want to be forgiven for their shame. They want to get over their shame and know how to move forward in joy and peace. So no, I think for sure he has a responsibility to not provide that to his congregation. I just want to believe that I'm looking at this out of context. Like I have to believe that Because like you said, you know, he is who he is. I remember coming out of inpatient treatment when I was inside for a while, and I came out of the hospital, and the first song that I heard after being in there for a couple of weeks was "Close" by Marvin Sapp, and what he did for me in that moment, I would have gladly put some money into his collection plate because of what he provided for me. So I really want to believe that I'm watching this out of context. I just have to.
Well, he has since made a statement, right? And he has tried to give a little bit of color and context to what has happened. And so I won't read the whole statement, but you basically see he says, "My directive was not about control. It was about creating a safe, focused, and reverent environment for those choosing to give and for those handling the resources." So he's saying that he was trying to create an environment, and also that this was related to raising money for a conference, right? Conferences have budgets, and people have budgets, right? So he's saying that this is a ministerial gift to prepare for an international gathering, right? And he's saying that part of his responsibility was to help fundraise, and it's not manipulation, it's stewardship. And I think that that's great. That is a great sentiment. I think that I don't know that we don't need to understand, right? I'm not a member of Marvin Sapp's church, but your church is online. Your church is being recorded and being streamed and accessible to anybody that is able to click that link. So I think that there is a responsibility, but I think sometimes in the shorthand of just talking to people that you know and people that are there, your people every day, there is something that gets lost in translation. But what about this this fundraising thing for churches, right? Because I'm looking at a stat here that says the U.S. Mega churches bring in between $2 million and $5 million annually, right? That's coming from the National Congregation Study. And that tithe, then y'all know that that's the practice of us giving our 10%. It used to be 10% of the lambs or 10% of the cucumbers, but now it's 10% of the dollars in your pocket. And that's been linked to an average church income of $1,000 to $2,000 per attendee per year for larger churches. So when you think about Marvin Sapp saying, oh, you know, we need to get to this $40,000 mark, we have 1,000 people in the sanctuary now, that's a lot of money that's being collected every service. And it's not just one Sunday services. Sometimes there's 3 services on Sunday, sometimes there's 2. I worked for a church for a while. They were one church in 2 states, right? And they were having church services in Atlanta and in New Orleans. And when you think about the money that's being collected, it is kind of hard to jive with this kind of hardline fundraising, understanding that so much money is coming into the church. Most churches have a bookstore, right? Those, especially these mega churches, they're selling things outside of bringing in money in tithes and offerings. So it is a very interesting conundrum that he finds himself in. And some people support it, right? Some people are saying that this is the way that church operates. And there are people who, just like the lady who expressed her church hurt, there are people who are saying, you know, this is normal activity for church, nothing to see here. Y'all got to get over it. When we come back from break, we will address a man who feels exactly that way.
I know you're busy, you got things to do, and you can't take us on the go with you every single day. Good news for you. We are now on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, now you can listen to us on Spotify. Search Fly Nubian Money and all the episodes shall appear. All you have to do is like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave some comments, tell people how you love us so that when other people come along and are looking for a great show to watch, they can find Fly Nubian Money too. One last thing, and just in case you've been sitting under a rock, Fly Nubian Money now has an investment club. We are the Fly Nubian Money Club. It's easy. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I am committed to bringing in top experts from all industries to help you level up. They're teaching us the skills that we need to compete in this market. We often say that nobody is coming to save us, not the government. But guess what? We're coming to save us. I'm coming to save you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. So listen, all you have to do again is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We have a 30-day free trial set up just for you, just for those people that are struggling. Even if you ain't struggling, you ain't got to struggle. I'm coming. Okay, let me stop playing. I'll see you soon.
If you need a superwoman, she just told you, flynubianmoney.com. She got the courses. She got the free trial offer for you for a little while. Get on there. Find out what you're trying to do with your life. Somebody can help you. Tiara wants to save you. flynubianmoney.com and the flynubianmoneyclub.com. That's where you go and get your salvation. If you got church hurt, we got you. You ain't got to, well, you do. It's a little offering, but we ain't going to get into that. So people are coming to Marvin Sapp's support. We're talking about, if you're just joining us, the viral video of Marvin Sapp preaching, instructing his ushers to close the doors, to prevent anyone from leaving and control movement in the sanctuary during a very specific time of giving. He was trying to raise $40,000. He says it was a fundraising effort for an international conference, and people are crying foul. They're saying that this is how churches abuse people, specifically Black people and their faith. But then some people are in support. So let's take a look at what a person says who is in support of this and says there was nothing done outside of the norm.
This incident with Pastor Marvin Sapp shows me two things. It shows how quickly people will turn on you and lie on you. When I heard that Pastor Marvin Sapp had locked some people in the church in order to take an offering, I wanted to see what happened for myself, because I don't let people think for me. And when I watched the video, he never said lock the doors. He said shut the doors. Now, I can disagree with how they went about raising the funds. I can disagree with that. But don't lie on the man. He never locked anyone in the church in order to raise an offering. I don't know the venue and I don't know what was going on, so I can disagree with what was going on, but let's not lie on him. And it's amazing how quickly people turned on him. When he was singing Never Would Have Made It, and people were crying and they were praising him because that song had ministered to them and got them through some of the most difficult times in their life. Never Would Have Made It has brought people through divorce. It has brought people through death. It has brought people through the loss of a job. That song has ministered to people all over the world. And Pastor Marvin Sapp has been a tremendous benefit to the Christian community. And yet we want to take this one incident to criticize him and also criticize the Black church. And it's only in the Black church where people have unrealistic expectations. And I know this. For some people, I don't care what you do, it'll never be enough.
Well, I mean, he said a word there. And I do agree with him in the way that a lie gets perpetuated in social media, right? The way that something is said and somebody rewords it because they either weren't listening or they're looking for fast clicks, right? So we went from close the doors, which we heard him say several times, to lock the doors. So now I want to talk about the influence of social media on these sorts of things, right? How churches make a lot of money on social media. Most pastors have a platform, right? Jamal Bryant is a very popular minister, and he has online platforms that I'm sure perform pretty well for him. But how do y'all feel, I'll start with you, Aisha, about this misconstruing facts on social media and through the viral process, the process of content going viral? How do you feel about people's willingness, I guess, to spread misinformation or inaccurate information?
Yeah, that's a tough one as well, because it's so unfair, right? It takes things out of context. It's, if we put ourselves in his shoes, we can just feel that, where what you are saying, they remove the entire context behind it and just grab that few seconds and just push it out there. Did you just hear what he said? He said, close the doors or lock the doors, get the money, and made it seem so as if you're being in bondage, as if you're being forced. And then people now, with it triggers trauma from the past, thinking, oh, somebody's trying to trap me to give money. And I thought that was sad. And that's why I don't repost what, if somebody tells me something that's negative, I don't repost it. Because I feel I'm not going to be a part of what I wasn't there to see what happened just because I heard, then I'm going to also perpetuate the lie? Or because if something is not completely true, then it's a lie. It's not fair. And that is, I think that's what the video we just saw was talking about. That, wow, and people can turn on you just like that and not really understanding the context of what maybe you were saying something, they take it out of context, and then then they draw from their experiences and then just attack you right there. And then you have to now come back to correct it, which he did. So I didn't take it so personal. I just felt maybe the way he did it was a little bit too much, but I understood.
What about you, Joe? You are familiar with how a lie can terribly affect a person's life, right? And then it becomes the person's burden of untelling that lie. So how do you feel about, the choice of words? Did he say this or did he say that? Or how people have taken, it's already out of context because we don't know what he said before he started asking for the gift. But how do you feel about the quickness and the speed that misinformation spreads with the help of the internet?
Yeah, the truth is always more entertaining. I mean, the lie is always more entertaining than the truth, right? So, once that lie gets out there, it's as easy as it got out there, it's 10 times as harder to pull it back. You know what I mean? So he locked the people in the church. But I mean, we just playing on words, right? I mean, honestly, if you're in a church and the pastor says, close the doors, we're not leaving, who is getting up? Who is getting up for real? Because you're not going to you are locked in that church once he says that. So I mean,
yeah, that's your spiritual daddy. Your spiritual daddy said, sit on down till we finish the business.
Because if you get up, the likelihood that he is going to single you out, and everybody's going to be looking at you, you are locked in your spot. You're not going nowhere. So I mean, we definitely don't want to lie on the man, but we have to consider the feeling of the pastor of the church saying, close the doors, we're not leaving. That does feel like a lock to me.
So because the doors weren't locked, but the instruction was don't move, essentially, right?
Yeah, you ain't going. The pastor said don't move.
So when we look at the internet is kind of a gift and a curse in this for every situation, but in this one in particular, right? Because churches are the millennial sector of churchgoers prefers an online service. They prefer online giving. Even if they are in service, they're more likely to give using an app or through the website. So I think we have some stats about how much giving is actually going on. There we have 37% of millennial Christians are more likely to give to a church that's live stream and accepts donations online. And then the trend of online and social media fundraising has grown by over 100% in just 10 years since 2015. And that's with a large portion coming from platforms like Facebook and Instagram, where they're streaming on their websites, but then they're also simultaneously streaming and have pathways through social media for giving. So that brings me to my next question, which is about ethics, right? What is the kind of the ethical, I guess, implications of this type of pressure, right? Because people, I worked for a mega church in New Orleans for a while. I trained their media ministry, and it tripped me out because they used to call him their spiritual daddy, right? So if God is the father, that's the daddy. And then this man is kind of like a proxy daddy to the daddy. So it brings up something interesting in what you said, Joe, which is people aren't moving. And are people not moving because of pressure? Are they not moving because of, like you said, being singled out? Or do you think that they're not moving out of just a real, true, solemn respect for the man and the position that he holds, and him being an intercessor, if you will, between God and the people?
Like I said before, I've seen firsthand the kind of shame that people leave the church with. And I've seen how that shame takes rule over someone's life and dictates their mood of today. So when you're talking about taking direction from your pastor, that's a serious thing. I've been just like you, Marlo. I've been an educator, and I'm a therapist, and I've been a basketball coach. And at the end of all of those things, end of the school year, end of the season, I always tell people, thank you for allowing me to have influence over your child. It's not something that I take lightly. When you are in someone's life in a spiritual leader role, you have influence over the rest of their lives. Honestly, you do. You can have impact in a lot of ways on how they go forward throughout their life. So you cannot take that lightly. So like I said, not knowing, just watching the clip that I saw, he has to understand the influence that he has over people's mindsets. When you tell somebody to close the doors, we're not leaving until we get a certain amount of money. I hope I answered your question. I feel like I might have went off a little bit, but I think
No, I mean, I think I think that's spot on. I certainly have sat in a church as a congregant with just some gum wrappers and some nickels in my pocket. So in times when money was leaner or things were tighter. So I think that there is an amount of, oh my God, he talking directly to me, right? Because he is pinpointing your pain points in that moment. And everybody has a pain point. It's just a matter of who is connecting with that message at the particular time that he's speaking it. So, but what do you, is this appropriate? I know, Aisha, you're Catholic, right? And I know we used to have to go to church on Sunday. My cousin and I strategically decided that the Catholic church down the street was better because we'd be in and out in an hour. So strategically, we chose to go to Catholic churches because of the constraints on time that we preferred as teenage girls. But as a Catholic, why don't you share a little bit of your experience and your experience with tithing and your relationship with giving to the church, if you don't mind?
Absolutely. But the 1 hour thing is funny. So true. Everybody wants to go. They're looking at the time. 1 hour, we're out. We like that. But I think it comes from when the Lord was praying at Gethsemane, and he asked, the apostle, couldn't you just wait 1 hour for me? Couldn't you? That is where the 1 hour came from. So we try to put that 1 hour because the Lord specifically said, couldn't you just wait an hour? While I pray, because they fell asleep, right? So the church uses that as a measure for us. So everything in our church is very symbolic. Everything is it's part of what we do. But coming to the tithing part, we collect tithing every Sunday, like every other church, and the basket is passed around. When the time comes, the ushers will come and pass the basket. But it is not talked about. We're not asked to do anything. We just pass the basket, and you come with your envelope, because a family envelope is sent to your home, and you put whatever you want, whatever amount you want to put in, and then you put in the basket. There's no specific requirement, none, because with the teaching, we know that we're supposed to give the first of our fruit, 10%. However you want to, but nobody comes to calculate it with you and say you have to give this amount. I've never experienced that. I've been in church for a decade. I teach in the church as well. That's never been part of our teaching. But sometimes when we need to raise money for a particular project, right? They have a group of people in the church that support the pastor. They will probably come and meet you at home. They'll make an appointment with you at home and come discuss with you what the project is that the church is trying to embark on, and tell you how much it's going to cost, and then see if you are able to contribute and make a pledge, right? And then you can pledge however you want, and then you contribute however you want until that time. That's how I've been exposed to that. But the weekly and Sunday collection, there's no expectation. They just pass the basket and that's it. There's nothing extra about that. And anything special like the pastor was asking for is done privately. And we know about this. Once a year, we're asked to donate to help the entire church. But you're given an envelope to go home and prayerfully consider what you want to give. So that's the difference that I see in both style of collecting funds.
So I know that some mega churches require W-2s, and they kind of calculate what your giving is ahead of time. My mom was a member of a mega church, and she actually got a letter saying that she was a member that was not in good standing because her tithes were not what they needed to be. She subsequently left that church, but this is a very normal. I see you, Aisha, were shocked at that, but this is a very normal practice in some Baptist mega churches, especially. But we're not just gonna beat up on Black churches, because everybody does it. And when we get back, we will show. Oh, there she is, Paula White. She is the special prayer envoy for President Trump. She's the faith something for the White House. I don't know what exactly the title is. Somebody can look it up and let me know in the comments if you care. But she has a special $1,000 for 7 special Passover blessings. She only got 7 blessings, but if you got $1,000, you could be one of the lucky blessed people. When we get back from a break, we will talk about all things given in church and dig more into some of the experiences of our watching at home family or watching at the job family and our in studio panel. We'll be right back.
Are you a Black business owner looking to expand your reach? Well, has Fly Nubian Money got good news for you? We are building a Black business directory to connect you with customers who need your services. And here is the best part. It is absolutely free. Email us at info@realvirtual.net. Send us your business name. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what services you offer, your website address, and your contact information. That's it. Together, we are going to build and circulate the Black dollar. Get listed today and start connecting with people who are probably already looking for you.
Get in the Black business directory. Get your business listed. Let your people lift your business, right? We need to support one another. We have 3 Black business people here today. This panel is always filled with Black business owners. If you want to get into the Black business directory, all you got to do is send the name of your business, website link, social media links, all the relevant information, a little bit description about what you do and where you are, who you serve. Send that to info@realvirtual.net, and Miss Black Hollywood is gonna make it happen. She is got on her cape to save the people. One of the ways we're doing it is through the Black Business Directory. So be sure if you have a Black business or you know someone with a Black business that y'all get listed so that when we're looking for you, we know where to go. So now I want to talk about young people. When I was younger, I thought church was a money grab, right? Once I got to a certain age, I didn't have to go to church anymore. It wasn't, mandated by my parents. My mom was really good about letting me form my own relationship with God. But I just saw it as a money grab. I saw it as a fashion show. I didn't really see the value in attending church regularly until I started working for a ministry and I actually started learning. Now, that didn't run me to church. It didn't run me to church, but it did definitely open my eyes that I could have a relationship with God, a better relationship with biblical understanding and the word of God. So it helped me in that respect, but it's still the politics turned me off. I'll share with y'all, I had a cousin, he used to preach. He was so handsome. He could sing like an angel. And that fool was doing all the women he wanted to do. One day, a woman came to Bible study. My mother, who was the pastor's nurse, another cousin that was in the church. We had a lot of family that were members of his church supporting his ministry. A woman came in one Bible study, said she was pregnant for him. They marched her out of there. They built the walls of Jericho and got that sister up out of there. I tell y'all, 5 years later, I was at a family reunion, and who is walking with a boy that got the same triangle head as him, walking through the park where the family reunion was, little boy about 5 years old, right? So that moment when that woman did that, I felt like I couldn't get the word from him, even though he was family. So I stopped going to his church, and I was since find, God in other ways, but it turned me off. Do y'all think that the politics and the shenanigans and the showmanship and the money requests, do y'all think that that has a place in church, or is that like a major turnoff for people who are looking for salvation and fellowship? Either of you can answer.
Go ahead, Aisha.
Wow. And especially when a young person comes in, like you just described, and she was just marched out of there without any kind of questioning and trying to find out the truth. Like, did you try to find out the truth, or you just cast her out because you're so focused on this person that is, like you say, he's handsome, he's singing, and all this great stuff? The church is always going to be like that. It's going to always be something happening because of the brokenness of people, of who we are. And it's sad that we now have to suffer the consequence, because again, when we go there to find peace and forgiveness and togetherness, and then people that we are depending on to provide that are now doing the opposite towards other people or even us, it causes some kind of separation in our minds. Like, then what is this? Why are we even here? Why are we even here? But with that being said, though, I still also believe that as a Christian, that we need to worship together. There's a reason why we're supposed to be together, to worship together, and we don't have to separate from the church, because the church is us. So, but it is a tough one, but we have to really make a decision for ourselves. Like you said, Marlo, you know what? I've seen these different things and I made my own decision. But I still, believe in God, because I know God is real and what he does for me is real. But I have to make sure I find in a place where I can really worship rightly and in truth. Right.
Is that what Aisha was just describing? Is that a version of cognitive dissonance, Joe, where in my mind I have this one thought or idea or reason for going, right? But then I get there and I'm kind of duped into being there for a whole myriad of other reasons. Is that what that is? Or is that, can you explain that from a, your
No, you said right.
background?
It is a cognitive distortion. With going into something with the expectation that life is fair, everyone's a good human, and and then when you get there, you are duped, as you say. But at the same time, that's a reasonable expectation. But when it doesn't go the way that you want it to go, you then have to base your reaction in reality. These people, like you said, they spiritual daddies. They're just humans. They're just humans, and yeah, that's all it is. You have to look at them like that, and make sure you are approaching your spiritual journey from a standpoint of personal peace, not to achieve anything for anyone else. Personal joy, not to achieve anything for anyone else. What is your journey? What is your goal? What is your destination? And then you will get the result that you want to get out of most of the time.
So when we get back, we will talk about consequences. Are there going to be any consequences? Have there been any consequences? We'll get into consequences and what the future looks like potentially for Marvin Sapp when we come back from this break.
Woo! This is a good show right here. But I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com. Woo!
blow it, know it, grow it. FlyNubianMoney.com. Join the club. Get saved. That way, when your pastor is asking you to sow $20 and close them doors, you ain't gonna have no problem. You be like, let me up out of here, because I put you 40 in there for somebody that can't pay. That's how turned up you gonna be if you grow your money and don't blow your money. So let's take a look right quick at the video that got us here. Marvin Sapp was raising money, and he said to his people this thing.
Leadership lead, and they understand the cost that is involved. There's 1,000 of you. I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant. There's 1,000 of you tonight, and those that are watching, it's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight. I'm challenging each of you all down here to give a $20 seed. I actually think $20 is a lot of money. $20, believe it or not, when my late wife, Yolanda Sapp, was alive, was a good date. I could take her to the movies, buy a box of popcorn, get 1 soda, 2 straws. I wasn't cheap, that's swag. I was looking in her eyes, she's looking in mine. Can't do that no more. Now, everyone up here, we've all sold and seeded, but I need everyone standing up here with us, with me, to plant a seed of $100. Because again, it costs to sit up here. I got you. Let's see. So put your 20 away, preachers. That 20 wasn't for you. And this is what I need you to do. If you're giving electronically, or even if you're giving tangibly, I'm gonna have y'all come to the altar and give it, because I need to see 1,000 people moving. Bring them baskets. I want the baskets up here. I want to see the folk. Y'all start moving. Y'all can bring it right now. Come. Even if you're giving tangibly, just put your hand on take your phone and stick it on the bucket. Shh. Giving is worship. Giving is worship. Giving is worship. Giving is worship. This ain't the time to talk. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people online need to give $20. This is easy, saints. This is an easy miracle.
He was sweat. Look, he preached the word, y'all. Because do y'all see all of that sweat that was all across that whole band at the top? He brought the word, and then he needed you to bring your wallet out. And I didn't, and on a second look, the way that he was instructing them was so Detroit gangster. Like, he was like, close the doors. Like, Pookie, get back there and do the thing, right? Like, I don't know, y'all, but
definitely, it was definitely worse the second time.
It was right, because you can watch it for like the minor details the second time and really get off into what was happening. So there is one more video that we're going to play of somebody who says that this is a common practice in the Black church, and it needs to stop. Let's see what he has to say.
Now, let me tell you what's going to happen next now that Marvin Sapp is being exposed on social media on an international platform. There is this arrogance that preachers have, and there's going to be a lot more preachers that are going to come to his defense because they feel like his behavior was justified and that what he did was okay, and it is not okay. But there are going to be a lot of people, a lot of pastors, a lot of ministers who are going to come to his aid and to his defense to support what he has done. And he is going to eventually come out with a statement, a very arrogant statement, to be able to justify his behavior. There is nothing justifiable about this behavior when you can sit up and coerce people into giving, and also to hold people damn near hostage to give money to your ministry. This is why people don't go to church anymore, and this is why they don't trust ministers anymore. And he is a prime example of bad behavior that needs to be corrected.
He said it, not me, but it is commonplace, and I have seen it. So, Joe, what do you think about that? What do you think about him expressly calling this coercion and arrogance?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, this is a lot of things looking at that little clip for the second time that I noticed that kind of confirms what that brother just said, man. I mean, his whole tone and the way he's telling the ushers to close the door, close the door, close the door, close the door, working around on that side. You know, anytime I get the plates up to the front, I need to see. Why do you need to see 1,000 people moving, bro? Like, that was a lot. And then, why are there so many people up on that stage? There was at least 100 people behind him, and I heard him say it cost to sit up here. That whole thing was insane. The second time around, I don't know what context I'm looking at.
You need more context for your context, Joe?
I can't go. I look at that and I'm like, brother, I cannot go. I cannot attend your church. I don't care what the rest of your sermon was like. I don't care if you sang a couple of your hits and all of that. I cannot walk through them doors after watching what I just seen. And if we are paying $40,000, bro, why are you sweating so much? This makes no sense whatsoever. Pay the air conditioning bill or turn it on. One of the two things had to happen. We're gonna get $40,000 in one swoop, and we're gonna demand it. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't. I mean, if you was in the building that day and you saw something I didn't see and you got some context for me, please give it to me. I cannot get on board with what I just saw.
What about you, Aisha? Is that how the bishop in the Catholic Church? Is that typical Catholic bishop behavior?
No, no, not in that fashion. Not in that fashion. You know, so this, one of the comment was this. You know, the church does have expenses, and they do. They have to pay for different things. Yes, because the church, we are the church. And the building is there because somebody has to build it. The money has to be raised for that. We do understand all the needs. I think where people probably got caught off guard was the delivery of the requests. It put everybody off, and it seemed like coercion, and then especially when he said close the door 3 times. So it seemed like, wow, why would you say that? Just say close the door once and continue speaking. But he emphasized closing the door 3 times. And then, so though I saw that, but then I also saw that he was also holding those behind him accountable as well, because he felt the $20 is not for you. Yours is going to be a higher donation or request. So I felt he was being fair by asking the ones behind to donate more. So I saw both, kind of trying to see both sides. And if I was in that congregation, to be honest, and that happened, the thing that would throw me off is just to close the door 3 times, because I'd be like, well, what about our safety? That will throw me off. But the money request will not throw me off, because if there's a conference coming up, we need to pay for it. And he's also requesting, the ones behind him to pay more, which means you have to pay more, like everybody else. So you need to pay more money for what we need it for. So it's just double, thoughts in my heart about what is happening. But really the delivery, no matter how we try to look at it, was kind of a little bit too much. And anybody that sees that will be thrown off and won't like it.
I think it definitely is something for people who are considering joining a church. It definitely would give them pause, because you hear these stories all the time. He's in Grand Rapids. I'm in New Orleans. I've seen similar things. I'm sure New York City, there was a pastor who had something going on. He couldn't stop wearing Gucci, right? And it's just story after story after story about these ministerial leaders who are, it appears, doing more for self than they are for their parishioners. So this has been an excellent conversation. The comments, y'all been lit in the comments. Joe loved the second go round with the video so he could get a little bit more color in the space and a little better understanding. And so now I'm gonna ask y'all to give your final thoughts. I'll start with you, Aisha, and then we'll go to Joe.
Wow. Today was really, especially being a Christian, and also hearing also this from somebody that looks like us. And I'm saddened that it was just blown out that way, because then that's another one mark that is against us. And we know that other churches do the same. It's not just the Black church, right? We are very flamboyant. That's true. I think at the end of the day, I hope, even though we know it was kind of off-putting what has happened with what we are now witnessing, I hope that we'll see the entire context and give him some grace and see what happens going forward. Will other churches now adjust what they're asking, and will they make sure that they're a little bit more careful in the way they request from the congregation, because we're all going through something. We all need help financially here and there. I hope that will be learning there. But for me, really, that's what I see. Just give him grace and see the whole context. And just like you want someone to give you grace if you made an off-putting remark for something that didn't make any sense, and then you look back and say, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that." So just allow him to have that grace and keep supporting the church. The church is you and me, and we are the ones that will make everything happen in the church. And so as somebody that's in the financial space, we still have to allocate, just like scripture asks us to. It's not by coercion or force, but we should contribute to the church to keep the body of Christ strong and doing well for us here on earth. So if you want to reach me, I'm in the Black Business School as a coach, and my email is up there, www.aishaverzi.com. I'm here to help anytime.
What about you, Joe? As we wrap up this Good Friday, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I said I'm not going, and I meant that. But I will say that, we got to be careful not to reduce people to, their worst moments either. Man, I don't know this brother at all. I don't know personally what he does. And I do agree with Aisha. Like, I understand, I understand asking for the money, because you never know what he's doing, whether he could turn around and put that money back in the community and help some people that really need help. I don't know. But that doesn't, correct or excuse, what I just saw or how he was talking to people in that moment. Because just because you're a good human, you can't force other people to be good humans by, making them do what you want them to do. I just don't believe in that. So, you got to be careful about how you're getting your joy, how you're getting your peace. And I guess the last thing I'm going to say is we definitely should not take good humans for granted. If you have good humans in your life that are doing good things and you recognize that, more than likely, I know as a good human that those people get taken for granted. And some of the most disrespectful people that I come across are the people that I see for free. And that's just the way it is. So don't take good humans for granted. But you can seek some more joy at realuconsulting.com, where you can come and find an understanding about, your own personal emotional triggers and why things bother you the way they do. Or you can follow me on my socials, Jay Corley or Joe Corley on all socials. And join me on every Tuesday night for Vulnerability is the New Sexy, where we're having good, healthy conversations about how to heal and how to move forward and how to be seen, especially as Black men.
Thank you so much for that, Joe. Well, that's it. We saw it. We all watched it together. Marvin Sapp and this, what some people feel is an unorthodox method of fundraising, sparking major debate in internet spaces. And I just want to say, if you're giving, give because that's what you want to do. If you're giving, give with a cheerful heart. Be a happy giver, right? But also follow leaders that are feeding your spirit, mind, your natural body in ways that are going to help you grow and not suppress you, not keep you underfoot, or have you constantly battling with yourself about what is sinful and how sinful you are. On August 28th, 2005, I was in a vehicle, and the only song that played as we were leaving New Orleans to get to safer ground was Marvin Sapp's Never Would Have Made It. The local radio stations put it on repeat. And that is how we rode a 12-hour journey from New Orleans to Baton Rouge with his voice calming us because we knew what was behind us was so uncertain. And so I agree with Joe. Don't let this one moment of humanity change the way you feel about people who have inspired you, because we all misspeak. I'm a communicator for my job. I'm a communicator on this platform, and sometimes I speak ineloquently. Sometimes I don't say the things that I wanted to say, or sometimes the way that the things come out is inartful. I would ask everybody to give people grace because we all need it. But I also ask that people use discernment, because that's what God gives us, so that we don't get tricked, so that we don't get duped, so that we don't end up with church hurt that causes us to abandon who God made us to be in search of somebody that we may not be. If you're looking for me because you're looking for alignment across your business platforms, you can contact me at themarlogroup.com. I help businesses get found. People looking for you on the internet, people looking for what you have, they're looking for what you do, they're having a hard time finding you. I know how to align everything for you so that people can find you when they're looking for you. When people put in random keywords, I know what those keywords are to help you get found in your area, so that people that are looking for you can find you, because that's what this is all about, getting found. Thank you all for watching the Fly Nubian Money podcast. Don't forget to text Queens to 87948. Don't forget to watch us Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, live all those days. If it's not me, it's Joe, it's Aisha, it's Lala, Constant. Somebody gonna be here dropping gems and F-bombs so that you can understand how serious we have to be in life. And also subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Spotify. You can ride and listen to us the way I was listening to Marvin Sapp when I was running from that big old hurricane almost 20 years ago. Thank you for watching. Happy Friday. I am Marlo, Joe, Aisha. We are signing off, and we will see you on Monday.